Hi, my name is Autif Kamal. This is another logic and reasoning workshop. This one is about converting universal to conditional propositions or vice versa. If you have any questions or comments regarding my workshops, you can relay them to me via Skype or email. My Skype username is autif.kamal. My email address is projectoptimization@gmail.com. There's at least one use for either going from a conditional proposition to a universal proposition or going from a universal to a conditional proposition. For going from a conditional to a universal proposition, it solidifies the idea that for one particular cause leading to a particular effect, every cause of that exact same kind, if it should occur again, will lead to the exact same effect. That's if you have an accurate conditional proposition. In terms of going from universal to conditional, you can use universal propositions to make predictions. So you know that if every instance of a particular subject has been attributed with a certain predicate, then you know that same subject in the future will be attributed with that same predicate. That's the general way of expressing how you could use a universal proposition, a generalization, to make a prediction if that universal proposition is accurate. Okay, now here are some examples. So this is the text that I had taken from an article originally. So it reads, cage-free, free-range, and organic labels all evoke images of happy and healthy chickens clucking through grassy fields. Now, just so I can align this with the format of a universal proposition, I'm going to move the quantifier all to the beginning of the universal proposition. So we get all cage-free, free-range, and organic labels evoke images of happy and healthy chickens clucking through grassy fields. Now, to convert that to a conditional proposition, we have to identify the cause and the effect. So the cause here, which would be the antecedents of the conditional proposition, is a product having the labels cage-free, free-range, and organic. And the effect would be that images of happy and healthy chickens clucking through grassy fields are evoked. Okay, so then the conditional proposition we get is if a label says cage-free, free-range, or organic, then it evokes images of happy and healthy chickens clucking through grassy fields. And going back to the use that I had indicated before, so if we know that this is a true universal proposition, this is an accurate generalization, then we could make the prediction that if I see any of these labels, then that's going to make me think of basically happy chickens. That's how we make a prediction with that universal proposition. Okay, and likewise, if we see one label that says cage-free, free-range, or organic, then we may decide to make the generalization that every product that has that same label would evoke images of happy and healthy chickens. Whether that is an accurate generalization is another question. Okay, now here are a couple examples for you to do on your own. For the first example, it is a universal proposition. You need to identify the cause and the effect. The cause will be the antecedent of a conditional proposition, and the effect will be the consequent of that same conditional proposition. Then after that, you have a conditional proposition. And again, it would help you to identify the cause and the effect. And in the universal proposition, you would state it so that it follows the following formula. All of cause X, whatever the cause is, leads to effect A. Okay? You'll have to decide what to put in for the cause and the effect. If you need more time, you can pause the video. Otherwise, I will move on to the answers. Now, for the first exercise, the cause is these executives have the financial resources, and the effect would be never work again. So then you get, if executives have the financial resources, then they will never work again. So you're making the prediction, you could make the prediction that if there is another executive that has the financial resources, then that executive doesn't have to work again, never has to work again. Okay, and likewise, if there is one instance of quarterly sales causing delays, then you could consider whether you want to make the generalization that every continued delay leads to negatively affecting quarterly sales. Alright, so if you'd like more practice, you can go to Business Week or Yahoo. Personally, I prefer Business Week. You can pick an article, and then after you've chosen your article, press and hold Control. While you're still holding Control, press F, and then in the search box that you got from pressing Control and F, type in either all or if. Now, it's very likely you're not going to find exactly a universal or a conditional proposition. What I propose you do is, based on what you see inside each article, formulate your own universal or conditional proposition. If you formulate a universal proposition, then convert that to a conditional proposition. If you formulate a conditional proposition, convert that to a universal proposition. Okay. Now, next up, I'm going to talk about frequency as an alternative for expressing quantity. Generally, when I've been talking about quantity, I've been talking about saying how much of a subject a predicate is attributed to. So this will show you how you can frame it in terms of how often something occurs rather than how much of a subject a predicate is attributed to. Okay, and I'll talk about that more in the next logic and reasoning workshop. Alright, thank you.